All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm going to just give it a couple more seconds as people pop in here. Um, and I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jessica Stern. I am the Assistant Dean of Graduate Admission at the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering. I'm joined today by my colleague Maria, who is the Associate Director of Graduate Recruitment, as well as one of our current students that we're so happy to have here today, Melvin, who you'll get to hear from a bit later in today's session. We are all available to answer any questions you have about the USC experience, about being a Viterbi student, about any details related to your time here at USC. We want to make this a seamless transition for you. We hope you're excited. We are very excited for you to welcome you to the Trojan family. So, first and foremost, congratulations on your admission. You are here today because you have worked really, really hard to get to this point. We recognize your achievements and we congratulate you on this really, really big milestone of getting into USC. And so we celebrate with you today. And hopefully, we are going to provide you some information to get you even more excited about your decision to come to USC. So, just to kind of take a step back before we dive into details related to Viterbi, we know that you probably have a lot of options, right? So you may have gotten into USC, you may have gotten to other schools, you may be considering other opportunities. And so here are some of the main considerations you might want to make when determining, okay, I do think USC is the right next step for me. One, we know many people choose to pursue graduate school because they want to advance their careers, and you want to consider what that professional development looks like in the graduate school that you choose. What are the partnerships in place? What is the recognition of your university and the industry you're interested in? What opportunities are available to interact with recruiters and prospective employers, to take on internships and jobs? So that's something that we will cover in today's presentation. Another thing is the location. You obviously, it goes without saying that where you choose to be, to study, to live, to work, absolutely will affect your well-being. It affects everything. And we happen to be located in a really vibrant city with a lot of opportunities for your personal and recreational enjoyment and fulfillment, but also in terms of career opportunities. Another thing to consider is the alumni network of the place. I think a lot of universities take, some level of pride in their alumni network, but you will find at USC it takes on a whole other level. When you are a Trojan, which all of you are now, it is felt the moment you step onto campus, and it stays with you your whole life. You will find a true community with the Trojan Network, and also a really valuable network of people who genuinely want to help you succeed. I'm sure if you speak to any of our students, or definitely our alumni, they can share with you how being a Trojan helped lead them to where they are today. In terms of research opportunities, whether you are doing a master's or a PhD, if research is important to you, it's good to understand how you can engage with it, what labs are available, what faculty are doing work in the work that you're interested in doing. And so if you are here today as a master student, know that there are many research opportunities available, even if it's not a required component of your master's degree. It's one of the reasons we know a lot of people are attracted to USC, because we are a tier one research university, with an incredible wealth of labs and research centers, and ways for you to engage with really groundbreaking research. So here are just some factors that might be in your mind, and that we encourage, if you have questions about of how they play a role at your time at USC, we are happy to answer those. If you have already been admitted, you know a lot of of general facts about Viterbi, so I won't spend too much time here. But just to give you a sense of the community that you're coming into, we are 100,000 plus strong in terms of the alumni from Viterbi alone. You will be joined in a very strong graduate community here. So we definitely have more graduate students than undergraduate students at USC, but at Viterbi in particular too. We also have applicants from all over the world, from over 113 countries. So this is an incredible opportunity too to open your minds and hear from perspectives from people all over the world. I know it's one of the most valuable and enriching things we hear from our students of being able to study at such a global university like USC. I'm sorry, some of these were to be skipped. If you are a computer science or electrical and computer engineering or data science student, you will actually get to take advantage of our brand new building, Ginsburg Hall, which was launched as part of this larger initiative known as Frontiers of Computing at USC that is pooling together all the expertise of computing across the university into one place. And we're really trying to push forward the pillars of technology you see here: advanced AI and machine learning, hardware efficiency and scalability, and quantum computing and big data. So if your program of interest touches any of these areas, this is a really exciting time to be studying at USC. We're hiring incredible new distinguished faculty in these areas. We're expanding our footprint in Silicon Beach and just providing more ways for students to explore interdisciplinary education with computing at the forefront. I mentioned Silicon Beach. For those of you that don't know or not familiar with our location, Silicon Beach is about 30 minutes away from, depending on traffic, from the USC campus that's located in downtown LA. This is an area that has 500 plus startups and branch offices of many of the tech companies that are headquartered in Silicon Valley. So you can see some of them here. And when they kind of opened up in Silicon Beach, they've already been there for quite some time. And we also have two research powerhouses, Viterbi does, right there in Silicon Beach. That's the Information Sciences Institute, as well as the Institute of for Creative Technologies. We have students who intern in these research centers or do research as part of their doctoral programs. So it's very, very neat. We also have a free shuttle from campus that can take you if you ever want to get a tour one day. So this is kind of highlights that we are in a very innovative location, and innovation and entrepreneurship is very much fostered at Viterbi as well. And one of the highlights of studying in a place like USC. In addition to, you know, the incredible opportunities career-wise and to be tied to your industry by being in LA, you also, by being at USC, have so much next to you that's relatively accessible. We do have a metro stop. It's the Expo line right by campus that does take you down to, you know, the beach, even if you wanted to go to something like Santa Monica. We are also just footsteps away from some incredible museums like the Natural History Museum, California Science Center. There's an area known as Exposition Park that's literally across the street from campus. That's really, really lovely, and where a lot of these museums are housed, as well as the BMO Stadium, where we have some games, soccer games, LA teams. We're also close to the heart of downtown LA that includes so many cultural landmarks and activities. There's Chinatown, there's Little Tokyo. If you wanted to see a concert, if you wanted to see the Lakers play, I mean, it's all here. So there's definitely no shortage of things to do and ways you can make the most of being in LA. But also there is so much even around, even outside of LA that you could enjoy in a short weekend trip. It's all doable. Our community is Incredible. So here's a little snapshot of these are our some of our student ambassadors. Um, a lot of them have actually recently graduated, so this includes some of our alumni, but they really span so many different academic backgrounds. They come from all over the world. And as I mentioned earlier about Trojans helping Trojans, our student ambassadors are a true testament of that. Like Melvin, who takes time to truly just help students who, these students were in the same position you are in now of having questions and wanting to make sure this is the right decision and the right next step for what your goals are. And so just know that we have a community that's very supportive, that's very active and welcoming, and we hope that you will join this community and take advantage of all that we have to offer. In terms of career support, we do have a dedicated Career Connections office for our Viterbi students, and especially our Viterbi graduate students. They have tons of programming throughout the year. The most known or famous one is the Career Internship Expo, where we have around 100 plus prospective employers come to campus to speak with students. But I know that our recruiters even more so love all the events in between outside of this expo that we put on, including Trojan Talks, including networking mixers, and so many ways in a more intimate setting to get to know about these companies and what they're working on and the vacancies they have available, what kinds of candidates they're looking for, ways you can prepare for your own internship or job. So know that we definitely know this is an incredibly important part of why you come to USC. And so we make sure from day one you have access to all the events that are available, but also support services that Viterbi Career Connections puts on. That includes advising and workshops to improve your resume, to really perfect how you communicate and do your little elevator pitch in a setting like a career expo, or how you negotiate a salary. And so all the things in between. You are incredibly supported as you are working on being the most standout competitive candidate for your internships and job. This tells you a little bit more of a breakdown about Viterbi Career Connections, but you're welcome to explore more on their website. You also, as soon as you accept your admission to USC, you'll have access to the portal that also shows opportunities for on-campus jobs. So if you are considering part-time opportunities on campus, this is one way that many of our students help kind of offset, living costs is getting these on-campus jobs. That can be within the Viterbi School of Engineering through your academic department, for example, as a course grader, or it can be at the library or a restaurant or the bookstore. So many lots opportunities in that respect as well. We care very, very much about your general well-being as a graduate student. We know this is no walk in the park. Graduate school is definitely rigorous. It can be overwhelming, and especially with all of the things that we're trying to highlight for you about what's available on campus at any given moment, with career events or even just fun things happening and what's going on in LA. There is a lot to juggle. And we want to make sure that you feel supported every step of the way, that you're taking care of yourself, because it really takes, taking care of yourself to be able to succeed in all other areas in your life. And one way that we have shown our dedication to that is by having our own director of student wellness within the Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement Office. That's Lorena Duran, who hopefully you will all have a chance to meet when you start your time here. But she also leads this Viterbi Well initiative here, which will include a lot of programming events to specifically to allow you to relax, to take care, to enjoy, to feel part of community. We very much highlight the the puppy events that we have, you know, when you have exams coming up and you come across an event where there's puppies to pet and boba to drink, immediately it puts you in a different headspace. So if you want to learn more about all the wellness resources and events we have available, which do include free medical services at our health center as well, please go ahead and scan the QR code here. We also have a mentorship program. So we know that when you start here at USC, it is likely a brand new university to you. It may even be a new academic system if you're from outside the US. How do you register for classes? How do you find, building OHE? Just all sorts of things that come up as a new student, and we want to help reduce that stress for you. And one way to do it is to join this mentorship program, which you can do after you accept your admission, which pairs you with a current student, a mentor. So consider it your first friend, aside from Melvin, of course, that you make here at Viterbi. And this person can really show you the ropes, can help answer your questions and just be there for you for anything that you might need help with. And this really does end up being a relationship that you have throughout your time at USC. And often we see that when you start as a mentee, it's very common to then want to become a mentor after your first year when you're feeling, okay, yes, now I want to give back and help the next person the way that my mentor helped me. So I mentioned after you accept your admission, you will get more information about the mentorship program if you're interested in signing up and getting paired in that way. Here are some other things that you will have access to as soon as you accept your admission. So, the main next step for you all, once you feel ready to, okay, yes, I want to go to USC, is to submit your statement of intent through your USC portal. That's YOUSC portal, as well as your commitment deadline. Most of you should have a deadline of November 1st to do that, but double check in your portal exactly what your deadline is. And after you do that process and submit your statement of intent, that's when you can, one, request your I-20 for those of you who are international students and need to initiate the visa process. You can do that only after submitting your statement of intent. You'll start getting helpful resources related to orientation. We know spring is soon. You start in January. So this is a really, really tight window you have, and you probably want to get started in planning, understanding when orientation happens, what will be covered, who will I meet. You'll get all that information after you accept your admission. You'll be able to join the mentorship program we just talked about. You'll also get to connect with your academic department. They host webinars for each department to kind of guide you through just important first steps related to course registration. There might be certain holds on your account before you register, and they explain how those work and how those can be cleared, and just general next steps about working with your academic advisor. And then, of course, exploring housing options. So, if you will be searching for housing on or off campus, we will provide a lot of resources for you about that after you submit your statement of intent. Here's just a snapshot, though, to give you an idea in terms of housing. So the majority of our graduate students do tend to live in off-campus housing, but I know that many, especially in their first year, prefer to live very, very close. So we say off-campus, but that could mean, a building across the street that's not necessarily owned by the university, but the majority of the people that live in this immediate area by campus are students. So you might explore that. There is a really, really helpful website on the USC Housing site that can show you even a lot of off campus housing vacancies that are available. There are also USC owned buildings that are fully furnished, come ready for our students. Those buildings are listed here. You can scan these QR codes for more information. And in a bit, when we introduce Melvin, we'll find out a little bit more about how he chose where he lives and any advice there. Graduate student ambassadors I already mentioned, but know that in addition to Melvin, we have a number of student ambassadors that represent various graduate programs. So if you want to hear directly from students in your program or who maybe come from where you come from, or just generally another way to connect with current students, please don't hesitate to reach out to our ambassadors. They're available online on our Unibuddy platform to have conversations with you and answer your questions. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's go ahead and introduce our current student, Melvin. And I just want to let you all know that you are more than welcome to submit any questions you have for me or Melvin or any of my fellow panelists, my colleagues, in the Q&A, and we will do our best to answer them. So let's go ahead and turn it over to Melvin to introduce yourself. Melvin, if you could please share where you're from, what you study, how you ended up here, and we'll take it from there.
Of course. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Admitted Student webinar. Really happy to see you all here. So yes, my name is Melvin. I'm a second year master's student. I am studying electrical engineering, focusing on computer chip design, and I'm from here in Los Angeles. Now, the way I chose USC, actually USC kind of chose me. Kidding. But the way I chose USC is that actually, first of all, my mom was a part of the Trojan family. She graduated class of '85, and I just saw the testament of how strong the Trojan network was. And that was really appealing to me. But of course, looking into the program for the EE department, I saw how strong the faculty were and what their research interests were. And I thought that I would fit really well with what the university was focusing on at the time. And I'm here as an ambassador before you today because I love being a person who can help guide others, as many have guided me to my journey over the years and led me to where I am. And that's one reason why I want to be an ambassador and continue to be a mentor.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned you're a second year student. If you can take us back to your first semester or your first year here, could you share a little bit about what that transition was like and looking back, something you wish maybe you would have known to help guide your time here?
Definitely. Yeah, looking back at it, I realized that our professors become more of our colleagues at the graduate student level, and they are definitely here to become a network of yours, a resource of yours. I think in undergrad, it's a little bit more difficult for the professors to keep track of you and for you all to have closely knitted interests. But now at the graduate student level, especially if you're interested in research, these will be your future colleagues and even people that recommend you for jobs. As a matter of fact, Apple just came this Monday, and a professor of mine invited them. And the people who scored the top in his class got their resumes straight to the hiring recruiters, plus a little like a few words from the professor personally. And that just really made me realize, oh, these professors are definitely people who will be in our corner now. And as it goes from the actual undergrad to graduate student like transition, I definitely say that it's a lot of self-studying and diligence and finding your network within the university and within your classes. And you definitely need to work on, I think the general rule is if you have a course that's like 4 units, you need to be putting in at least 8 hours outside of that course. I say that's a very conservative estimate. You probably want to do more. However, it's very much worth it, and you'll see what it can do for you at this level. Definitely still a great experience and a lot to learn.
That's great to hear. Because you kind of touched on it, and it's something we get asked about often, about what classes are like, and you mentioned a little bit how it's different from undergrad. Can you share in your experience in your program, how you've managed the kind of tough course load, but also do you feel that it's hands-on work? Like, is there stuff that's very project-based and applicable to industry? Is it really research-based? If you could give us an insight on that.
Yes, definitely. So I can speak very specifically to my program. So being in the ASIC design program, that's pretty much doing chip design for specific applications like accelerators, if anyone's heard of NVIDIA. So I got exposure in some of my labs to a program that we call Virtuoso. And this is a very expensive multi-million-dollar platform that the university is able to license to us. And before I got into the industry doing some co-ops, I was able to get exposure on this software program and be ready to create my designs. And then once I got to my internships, I briefly interned at Apple and Texas Instruments. I was ready to hit the ground running. So I definitely say that these labs are very practical, and they give you a lot of exposure to what you'll actually be doing in the industry, which was very impressive to me because that's something that had been new. I had gone to industry prior to that, and undergrad, it didn't really seem to have a connection. As well as for the study guides, I'd say like you definitely want to be exposed to the topics before the lecture. I think that's definitely going to be in your best interest because it is 2-hour lectures, maybe 3-hour lectures. These are recorded as well, but you definitely want to be exposed. Maybe just like read through the notes that the professor sends out really quickly, scan through it so you can kind of be cognizant of what's to come. And then right after the lecture, ask as many questions as you can and maybe spend 20 to 30 minutes going through whatever you just looked at so that your memory could be, allocate into long-term storage as opposed to just watching a lecture, going get lunch, and you forget about what you just got exposed to. I think that's what's worked for me.
Thank you. You actually bring up a good point that I don't know all students know about is the access to the recordings of the lectures. I think since so many of the programs that we offer in classes that we have are also available through our Dennett Viterbi network, all of our students, including our on-campus students, can take advantage of all the material that's available online to watch back come, exam time or even just to refresh your memory of what happened and just grasp the material. So I think that's great that you brought that up. Um, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the career opportunities. So you mentioned one example where a faculty member kind of made that available for you and helped be in your corner to put you front and center. Have you at all interacted with the Viterbi Career Connections office or attended any of their events or yeah, any experience you've had with internships or during your time?
Um, yes, I took a visit to the general career office, and as a matter of fact, every fall we have an in-person career fair. And one of the ways I got my internships from Texas Instruments was that the Texas Instruments was there in person, and they were setting up interviews in person the next day. So I took a visit to the career office and went to the interviewing rooms and was able to do the interview, and I was able to get several offers. So I went back to the career fair and asked them. I said, "Hey, there's several companies that are interested. I don't want to burn any bridges. How can I make the right decision? How can I do this diplomatically, and in a sense that it will not tarnish my reputation, and I can still consider future opportunities." So those kind of resources were able to, number one, help me facilitate getting the interviews and getting past the interview stage. And then once I needed to make the decisions, they were able to guide and support me from there. So definitely a great program that we have here, and very, very pleased with what they're doing over there.
Thank you for mentioning that. Melvin, did you start in the fall semester?
I actually did start in the fall semester.
Okay, okay. Well, I bring it up because even though this isn't your personal experience, I know we hear from a lot of students who start in the spring that it actually gives them some time before the fall madness of recruitment season, of me getting front and center with these employers, that they have time to kind of adjust to the new academic environment, take classes under their belt that they can show off if they performed well when they, speak to employers at these things. So even though you didn't do it and it wasn't your experience, can you see how that might be beneficial for a student who starts in spring?
Absolutely, yes. Every September and October, we always get overwhelmed, and it always interview season seems to be coincidentally the same time as midterm season, which is very frustrating. So yes, I think you're all at an advantage, given that if you have one semester under your belt, number one, you have project and coursework experience, and now the industry people will be able to see it's like, okay, they're not just a master's student; they've actually taken some classes. And then, now you can understand what your workload has been in previous semesters and maybe extrapolate that and understand what you need to do while being in the interview stage, which is, studying for both things, studying for interviews, studying for exams. It can get overwhelming,
Yes.
but I think you're all at an advantage.
So how have you managed juggling all of that? How do you take care of yourself and do all of this?
It's definitely a continuous process, is what I've learned. Whenever I do have a little gap outside of my required course curriculum, I definitely go back to my older, like maybe notebooks that I have from previous internships, and I look through what I learned so I can refresh those topics, because those topics seem to stick around for the interviews. Like for if you're in the EE department, for example, stuff you'll learn in your second year, you definitely don't want to forget that, because basic circuit analysis will be on the interview. And you'll think like, oh, I'm a master's student, they're probably going to ask me some super complex questions. Like, don't just study for the complex questions. Try to recall the basic fundamentals, because that's definitely what the tech companies are always interested in. What are your fundamentals? And then they'll dive deeper. But if you can't get past that pre-qualification stage, it's not looking too good. But yeah, I always refresh my memory as I go. And yeah, that's the best way to do it for myself.
Thank you. Yes. I want to just remind those that are here today, please feel free to enter any questions you have for Melvin and his experiences in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to pose it to him. While that's happening in the background, could you talk a little bit about the community here at USC, what you found in terms of what students are like and ways to get involved?
Definitely. Yes. One great community that I found was the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE for short. This is a club where our missions are all aligned, and I get to be with people who have the same mission as me. And I really feel like I have a sense of a belonging, because I serve as a mentor in the program, and it definitely helps me to reinforce what I've learned as being a mentee from other people being in the industry, or folks who are older in academia, but giving me a sense of purpose, that's saying like, hey, I'm able to provide someone else with mentorship that may need it. And I saw myself in their shoes as a young EE student. So NSBE has definitely been one of those great things. Also, the Viterbi graduate student ambassadors, we have a smaller team, relatively smaller team, but quite excuse me, quite often we become friends as well, not just colleagues. And it's really fun to hang out and give tours together. And another thing is club sports is something I'm involved in. So I'm on the wrestling team, and that's just been able to provide another aspect of USC life that I would not have ever gotten because I study and live in the library all day. So now if I'm on the wrestling team, I get to know other people from other disciplines and different years. And that's all really made a great holistic experience for me.
That's so great to hear. Thank you. I did see that someone asked about co-op opportunities, which I know are not super common at the graduate level here, but I do happen to know you participated in one. Can you share a little bit about what that was like for those that might have a similar interest?
Definitely. Yes, I think co-ops are a great advantage as well, because many people don't understand. They might get a little scared, because usually when you do a co-op, you have to take a semester of school off. But I think that's a very good trade-off, because as someone who's done several co-ops for at least 6 months each, every time I do a co-op, I get to reinforce what I learned in the classroom in the industry. And then once I come back to the classroom, I have industry insights now, and I get to see a bigger picture of where exactly our curriculum is coming from. And that really helps me to connect the dots and be a lot more engaged and be a little bit ahead of the game, I believe. And it gives you some insights like, oh, this is exactly what I did in industry. I think I can go about it this way now. Those kind of perspectives. As specifically for getting into a co-op, it's not USC facilitated. However, they'll help you and support you to allow you to take the time off from the school semester if you choose to do so. So, for example, I had an offer from Apple, and they're requesting me to be there from January to August. I said, okay, I'm going to the Viterbi office. I'm going to request, can I take off the spring 25 semester? And, all they asked for was my uh, offer letter and what my plan was, and just to make sure that I knew what I was getting myself into. Of course, they also supported me to let me know, I was like, okay, this is what your plan could be when you come back. And then it just made it a really smooth process, because now I'm back here as my second year student. as a second year student, and just picking up where I left off. And I have co-op experience now too.
That's so great to hear. Thank you. It's really helpful to know how that all worked out, and that you were supported to do that. And since you've come back, have you found, yeah, how has that been different? Were you able to apply your experiences there to what you're doing now?
Absolutely, yes, because in the industry, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because you might feel like, oh, you're just a junior engineer, you're not sure what you want to do. But as you get exposed to different disciplines, you get to meet other people on your teams. One thing that really helped me choose coursework was stuff that I was seeing my colleagues work on. Like, oh, they're doing these analog front ends. Like, I think I want to take a course in some mixed signal stuff, because I saw my colleague over here doing this on their project, and I think that might be very interesting for me. So now I get to, after being in the industry and saying like, oh, okay, this is so much going on, but now I can see what are some topics that I might be interested in. I can go back to the classroom and focus on that and get really deep rooted in the fundamentals there, and then carry it on back to the industry when I re-engage for full-time opportunities.
Amazing. That's so, so valuable. I'm just going to take a quick look in the Q&A here, see if someone has a question for you. Um, This might be really, really specific, but I'm going to read it. I'm an incoming master's student in electrical and computer engineering, planning to work while pursuing my degree. And I was wondering if it's possible to take just one 4 unit class per semester and complete the program over a longer period. I can tell you the short answer is yes. I assume if you are not an international student, and you are taking the program part time and working while doing your degree, it's totally acceptable. And we have many people in that situation just taking one class per semester. I believe there is a cap of how many years to complete your degree. If I'm not mistaken, it's 5 years. Um, but yeah, it should be no issue. Melvin, do you know any working professionals in your program?
Yes, I know several students who are taking not just one class, but two classes and still working on the side. I don't recommend
Wow.
I don't recommend it, but they get through it. And I've met other people who are doing part-time as well. And yes, I believe you're right. The cap is 5 years.
Okay.
It's really beneficial because you also have the DIN lecture recordings. So it's definitely feasible to work part-time and attend school part-time, or work full-time and attend school part-time too.
Hmm. Okay. Before you started USC, did you connect with any other admitted students? And if so, how did you do that?
Yeah, I did. LinkedIn. You just reach out to people who are in your program, and even Googling some of your professors, or what some of the prospective professors, you get to see who's a part of their research labs, and that's actually what our professors bring up before you want to engage with them in the research labs. They say, okay, go talk to some of my students. So you go into LinkedIn, find what the mutuals are. Maybe they post them sometimes, some research publications, and reach out to them, ask how they've been, ask for like a little coffee session. But also, I attended one of these admit days, and I got to meet a former graduate ambassador. His name is Mithan, and
Oh, yeah.
he was really great, and getting me excited for joining my studies at USC. And he was able to inspire me as well. And I still keep in contact with him today. So making these lifelong connections out here.
Love that. That is so nice to hear. You mentioned the Admitted Student Day, so I do want to plug it here to this group. For those of you who are in the US currently, we do have an Admitted Student Day specifically for those starting in the spring. That will be next Friday on campus. I imagine that's a little difficult if you're not in the Southern California region to make happen now, but hopefully you all received the invitation. If you want more information, we can actually put a link in the chat for you to register if you haven't already. Okay, any other questions for Melvin or for our staff? Thank you to my colleagues who've been answering so many questions in the background. What is the process for getting into a lab? Melvin, can you speak to that if someone wants to do some research during their time?
Yes, as a master's student, well, actually, first, anybody who's a graduate student that's new to the program, that's not a PhD student, you need to take at least one semester worth of classes first before the university allows you to engage in directed research. That's also good because professors need to understand your academic alignments first and make sure that you're ready for research and you can handle your coursework. Now, one thing I really advise, and they advise this as well, is to take the class with the professor that you are planning to do research with or just interested in it. And then once you have a certain grade in their class, they'll be like, okay, this person's good for it. These are the topics I'm working on. Is this something that could be of interest to you? And you come up to, kind of like agree, some sort of agreement where you can do directed research with them the following semester. Yeah, and then they'll always point you to talk with one of their students first, just so you can get real understanding of what the actual work might be like, trickling down from what their ideas are down to what the students are working on. But yeah, so every faculty, I should say, on the USC Viterbi website has a research page. So definitely browse through there, see what they're working on, and figure out how to get in contact with their students and then reach out to them.
So helpful. Thank you. Do you have a favorite memory at USC so far?
Favorite memory. I always like the homecoming game.
Mm,
That's a great time for the football. Many alumni associations come out. Like I mentioned, my mom is a part of the alumni association,
yeah,
and hanging out with her and her class from 1985 all the way back then.
nice.
Getting to see how happy that they how happy they are as former Trojans, or still Trojans, but former attendees of the school. And it's a big family day as well, so many people come out with their family and their friends, and the whole USC block is just ignited with energy, and that's a fun time.
Yes, definitely. Good one. Um, I see a question. Okay, it's related to fellowships, but there may be general questions and about scholarships that I'm sure we got to. So I'll just address that off the bat for those of you planning to start in the spring. In terms of scholarships, Viterbi offers a very limited number of partial merit-based scholarships, and we've actually already notified those who are being considered for scholarships for the spring term. So if you have not been contacted, that means that you have not been selected for one of the Viterbi scholarships. But there are, and we do encourage students to explore lots of other funding opportunities out there. We have some of those resources available on our website in terms of external sources of funding. Fellowships and teaching assistantships and research assistantships are reserved for our PhD students. So as a master student, I would say that the opportunities are more limited or take a lot more work to find and figure out. But we can provide you a link to our scholarships page with more information. Melvin, I don't know if you have any quick tips regarding that
Not really
or know
involved
of. Okay, all
with the
good.
scholarships, but I did hear of the Meta Fellowship. That is one thing that Viterbi students are definitely qualified for, and I believe they pay for a full tuition and some sort of stipend in the tens of thousands of dollars range, I think. So if you check out the Viterbi website, look at the Meta Fellowship. I think some information should be on there.
Yes, thank you. I don't know if anyone in here is a civil or environmental engineering student, but that department also has their own program called Astani Scholars that you can explore as well. That gives you the opportunity to do either a research or industry project and get a partial scholarship and stipend. So that might be something to look into further. Any final questions? Okay, Melvin, any last words of advice? You've given so many, but if there's anything else that you think would be helpful for students to know. The floor is yours.
Definitely. Yes. So as a first student or first year student last year, I think I just really allowed myself to just get overwhelmed by the amount of classwork that I had, and I wasn't getting involved in anything outside the classroom. And in hindsight, that's not really a healthy way to go about it. You definitely need some sort of breaks or some sort of distractions from the academic aspect. So I understand, like, we're in the graduate school program and it's definitely a different ball game here, but you still need some sort of grounding mechanism. So I recommend you all to find some grounding mechanism. That might be like joining a club, something like that. What I do is go rock climbing a couple times a week, and there's some other USC students that I go with. And that really helps me to get my mind off some things. And then once I'm back in the classroom, I'm focused, I'm refreshed, and I'm ready to go again. So definitely find some sort of grounding mechanism.
That is useful advice for all of us for sure. That's really important. Thank you for mentioning it, and thank you for your time and all the ways that you've contributed to USC. We're just as lucky to have you. If any of you who are here today have more questions for Melvin that just you want to chat about separately, he is available on Unibuddy, right, Melvin, as a student ambassador. So I can go back to that slide real quick so you all can scan it and reach out and speak more with our ambassadors as you figure out your next steps that hopefully lead you here to the USC campus in January. I want to thank my colleagues, Maria and Ray, as well, for answering questions. We thank you all, and yeah, hope to see you in the spring. Congratulations and fight on.